Good evening. Yes, you can. I did. Are you thinking about giving up? Not finishing something? You had a goal and it just isn't working out? Well, I'm here to tell you that all you need to do is persist, and it will work out if you persist. My name is Martha Burich, and I am an international speaker. And I really want you to realize that if you just don't give up, it's going to work out. In the confrontation between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins. Why? Because it doesn't give up. The water keeps moving, and if you keep moving, you'll win. There's a quote in the Bible, about how we shouldn't worry about where we're going to get things, because if God takes care of the birds, why wouldn't he take care of us? Why wouldn't he make sure that we have enough food and enough of what we need? Well, there's one part that a lot of people don't seem to realize. The birds don't sit on the wire with their mouths open, waiting for the worms to drop in. The birds move. They flap their wings. They go looking for the worms, for the seeds, for the nuts, for the bugs. They don't just wait for them to drop. And that's what we must do when we have a goal. When we want things, we can't just wait for them to come to us. We need to move in that direction. And when we do, God, the universe, whatever, comes behind us and helps us to achieve that. Gives us that extra little push. A lot of times we just give up too soon. And if we just have faith and wait, things will work out. Let me give you some examples from my own life. I was a college professor for 10 years. I was a high school science teacher for 16 years. And to be a college professor was my very first goal. In high school, I wanted to be a college professor so bad. I just thought Sigmund Freud, here I was 16, 10th, 11th grade. I'm like, I'm going to go to high school. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to study psychology. I'm going to be a psychologist like Sigmund Freud. And I went to college. I was very lucky. I got a grant. And with the grant came, in order to get a grant back then, you had to work. You had to work for the money. I had work study money. But anyway, so I was just so focused on that goal, and I was so excited. I was so happy. And unfortunately, things didn't work out very well for me in college. It took me 14 years to get a bachelor's degree. I got kicked out of 2 colleges. I can laugh about it now, but it wasn't so funny back then, let me tell you. And I remember one day I just was crying to my mother. Oh, I had a 1.0 GPA. Now, okay, I think 1.0 is a D, 2.0 is a C, 3.0 is a B, and 4.0 is an A. I had a 1.0. I was a terrible student. And I think it was my first semester, maybe my second, in my freshman year, I took German, because I was going to be a psychologist, right? I was a psychotherapist like Sigmund Freud, so I thought, I'm going to take German. I flunked. It was the first F I ever had in my entire life. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, my entire world was crushed around me. I had never had an F in my life. I didn't know what I was. I think I was thinking about killing myself. Life wasn't worth living. What do you do after you get an F? I was clueless. I was just clueless. I was crying to my mother. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I guess, I don't know. It was my first year, second year I was kicked out. I don't remember. And my mother said, Martha, you just march back to that college and you ask them to let you back in. And that's what I did. I went back to that college and I said, can I please come back in? And guess what? Now I know. If you have the money, they don't care. They'll let you in. They could care less. I could have had a 0.0 GPA. If I had the money, they'd let me in. But they let me in on probation. So I got back and they said, okay, now you get 2 semesters to, you have to have at least a C average. So that was a 2.0. And I was serious this time. And yes, and I did it, but I still didn't complete. Because what happened? Well, then I wanted to go to this other college. so I could work with Dr. Richard Malott and be his research assistant. So I went to the other college and I got kicked out of that one. Oh my goodness, that time, what did I get kicked out for that time? Oh, I don't know, I got in trouble. Probably for drinking, whatever. Anyway, but so it took me 12 years to get a bachelor's degree, but I never gave up. I cried a lot of times and I was thinking about giving up, but I got a bachelor's degree. So, and I didn't get a bachelor's degree in psychology. I got a bachelor's degree in general studies. And general studies was the degree that you would get if you couldn't do all the other stuff like they wanted, like passing um, the language requirement, because after I flunked out of German, that I took Spanish and I still somehow couldn't pick that up either too well. But I think I made a C in the Spanish class, but there was no way I could get through Spanish too. So they had a different program. So that's what I got. I got a general studies degree. But then after that, I wanted to work on my master's degree. And of course, they let me in and I got a master's degree, but that took me 7 years. 7 years to get a master's degree. And I was so fortunate. I had the most wonderful, wonderful advisor, Dr. Henschke. He was just a wonderful fella. And I even started on my PhD, but then they moved Dr. Henschke. And that's when things started changing in colleges and things, they just weren't as appreciative of Dr. Henschke as they had been. He had been there at least 20 years. And he moved on to a different college where they did appreciate him, but I couldn't move to that college. It was too far away. But anyway, so then I started working on my PhD, and I was able to go very, very far. I basically have a PhD, technically all but dissertation. So I've been very, very fortunate. But how did I get that far? And how did I became a college professor. For 10 years, I was part-time and I was even full-time at a college for 1 year. So that was my dream. My dream was to be a college professor. And how lucky I was to do that and how much I enjoyed it. And I remember I replaced a man who had been teaching child psychology forever, forever. And he never had any children. I don't think he had ever married. And of course, I was married and I had a young child when I was teaching the class, and it was just so much fun. And the students who were there, because I think I replaced him in the middle of the semester. He had gotten sick or something, and they just told me that it was a whole different vibe with me there. Well, of course, I had a young child, and we were talking about child psychology, and it was just so much fun. I just had such a good time. We used to just do all kinds of self-esteem exercises, and I just loved doing that. It was so much fun. But then again, without having a PhD, I couldn't do it there full time, even though I was able to be the full-time sociology instructor at another college. And that was so much fun too, applying for that job and then getting it. It was so exciting. But what's my point? My point is, yes, I could. Yes, you can. I did. And what did I do? I just kept going on. I didn't quit. I just didn't quit. And I have done some, I was looking back through my life. I have done some downright adventurous things. I have walked on fire 3 times. 3 times. I walked on fire the first time in St. Louis, Missouri. There was a man, I can't remember his name. He owned a bookstore, and he was just the most wonderful fella. And he said, "We're going to have a fire walk." So I said, "Yeah," So I went, and it was in a circle. The pit was in a circle, and in order to do this, you build the fire yourselves. We burned the logs and everything. We were there for hours, and you do a seminar, and you talk about how you're going to do it and everything. And we were there, and the pit was in a circle, and then they say that, "Now when you're ready, go." So we were all standing around the fire, and it's not a fire anymore. Then you have burning embers, burning ashes, and we're all barefoot. Of course, you're barefoot, and you roll your pants up. You can't have anything because something your clothes could catch on fire. Goodness. Anyway, so we're all standing around, And I walked across that fire and or those burning embers, and I remember my feet sinking into the ashes and thinking to myself, this fire is as cool as walking across my linoleum on my kitchen floor. It was unbelievable. And we could walk across as many times as we wanted. So I went across, and then I was just kind of hanging out and watching other people walk across. And a woman walked across with her daughter, and her daughter wanted to go again, but the mom didn't want to. So the daughter, I think the daughter was about 16. So she asked me if I would walk with her, and I said sure. So she and I held hands and walked back across the fire. Oh, it was a fabulous experience. And I remember thinking to myself, Martha, if you could walk on fire, you just walked on fire. You can do anything. What else did you tell yourself that you can't do and that you could? And then I did it again, I think a year later, with there was an author, God rest his soul, he's passed on, Stuart Wilde. Oh, he was an interesting character, interesting. And he had a workshop that he did in Colorado. I think it was Silver Springs, Colorado. And we walked on fire. And he had the same setup, the round pit, and we walked across when we were ready. And it was an amazing experience. And he also did something. Um, when I grew up, I had two brothers, and my older brother Al, and then the middle brother, the one between Al and me, Billy. And Billy was into reptiles. So Billy always had snakes and iguanas and things. Well, anyway, I think it was my sophomore year in college. I went over to Washington University. No, St. Louis University. They were looking for a model for snake phobic, a research study on snake phobic women. So snakes didn't bother me. So what they did is they put me in this room behind this great big glass window. And there I was with this big giant snake just crawling all over me, and with these just women freaking out on the other side. And I mean, I had grown up with these with reptiles. It was so funny watching those women, and very few of them had the well, a couple of them did have the courage to actually come up to me and come near me with the snake on me. Oh, that was so much fun. And guess what? I got paid for it too. So that was cool. But anyway, so what's the point? Yes, you can. I did. And a couple of those women that were so deathly afraid of snakes, they braved their courage and they did it. And they came up and touched the snake. Yes, you can. I did. And what else did I do? Okay, I used to ride my bicycle a lot. My husband and I both. We used to ride our bicycles all the time. We'd go out for 60 miles just for fun. Well, I had tried to do a century, 100 miles on a bicycle in one day. I had tried twice before, and over, like, I don't know, years. Okay. Well, we decided the 4th of July, it's called the Firecracker 100. So my husband and I decided, okay, let's do that. Let's go do that century on the hottest day in July. And guess what? I made it. Third time's a charm. I did 100 miles, and so did my husband, on a bicycle in one day. Now I think we were the last two because we got lost and we wound up doing a couple of extra miles. Can you believe that? But I didn't quit. I did not quit. Why? Because I was like water, and I kept on. I thought, you know what? I am going to make 100 miles come HELL or high water. And I did it. And it's just proof that if you don't quit, you can do it. I mean, a college professor, that my dream job. And then, because I had a master's degree, they were looking for teachers. And my mother said, Martha, be a teacher. A teacher is the finest thing you can be. Well, she was so happy I was a college professor. She was over the moon. But she said, teachers are a great job, and they make good money and they get a good pension. So then this position came up that if you had a bachelor's or a master's degree, and they needed teachers in inner city areas. And they said, we'll let you start teaching now if you get certified, become certified within 5 years. So I did. Next thing you know, I'm teaching high school science, and it was great fun. I became certified in special education and certified in science. And what fun. Oh my goodness, I had so much fun teaching science. So much fun. I just love science. And science, okay, we are all energy. We're nothing but energy. And what are we? We can be a solid, a liquid, or a gas, right? 3 states of matter. Well, when you aren't going for your goals and you're living your life at a low level, you're an alcoholic, a drug addict, you give up, you're hopeless. You're a solid. You're not moving too much, right? You're a solid. But then when you start to get some hope and some faith, you start to raise your vibration. Well, you become a liquid. And then there you are, water moving all over the place, learning, moving, growing, okay? Expanding, okay? Expanding, because water expands to fill the container that it's in, right? Okay, and it will go wherever, wherever. Well, then, when you decide, I'm going to go for a goal that I've never gone for before, and you start to really see possibilities, and you start to believe, you know what? Anything's possible. Well, guess what? You start to get periods of being a gas. And what does a gas do? A gas rises, doesn't it? A gas rises to the heavens. And then your vision gets even bigger and higher and better. And you become even more able to do bigger and better things. If your relationships are in the pits, guess what? Just keep trying. Get a big vision. Get a vision of a better relationship. It will improve. So be like water and keep moving. And then once you get that movement, then guess what? Your vibration gets even higher and you become a gas and you start doing things you never thought were possible. Never, ever. I never thought I could be a parent. Oh, and then that's another story, but we've only got about 3 minutes left. I'll have to tell that story at another time, where I asked my mother to tell me 10 good things about me. I said, Mom, you write down 10 good things about me. I'll write down 10 good things about you. We'll do it at the same time, okay? And my mother's sitting there like this. Like it was really hard for her to come up with something nice to say about me. And she started to say something negative, and I said, nice, Mom, nice things. But she did. She came up with 10 of the nicest things. She said things, oh, I'm going to start crying now. She said things like, I was a good mother. That just tore me up. And she said, I made my husband feel secure. I was over the moon with that. And why? Because I got the courage to ask. And I'll always have these memories. Mom's gone now, but I'll always have the memory of that day. And that list, God, it still means the world to me. And I'm not going to end this Facebook Live crying. So I just want to remind you, yes, you can. I did. And if I could do it, you could certainly do it. And I have so many other stories to tell you, but we've only got about a minute left. And I want to thank you so much. Thank you, Erica, for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jenna, for being here. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate all of you so much for being here and watching. And I'll be back, oh my good, tomorrow. Tomorrow night's my big one. Friday night, 5 p.m. I'm going to tell you how to break those bad habits. The things you can do, specific things you can do to stop smoking, drinking, overeating. Okay, thank you all so much for being here. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Alrighty, good night. And hey, make it a great day and think about a nice big goal you go after because, hey, yes, you can. I did. Bye.